back to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for joining us for the solstice on June 20th at 7:42 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And of course, the solstice is the day that the sun goes into Cancer, or I should say the Cancer solstice or the June solstice. And we have a solstice, of course, in Capricorn in December. And then we have the equinoxes in Libra and Aries. And so they're sort of our seasonal demarcations, basically. And this solstice is really just building up to the new moon. Now, the new moon is at 4 degrees Cancer. It's only on June 25th, just 4 or 5 days away here at 3:32 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So they're kind of, we're going to kind of talk about them in unison for sure. Okay, but first, before we get into that, let's talk about what happened last week. Okay, I told you guys to circle June 15th. Well, turned out 14th was the exciting day. And let me also tell everybody, just put this in the back of your mind as I'm talking about especially all this Cancer stuff. The U.S. sun is at 13 degrees Cancer. Its Venus is at 3 degrees Cancer. And its Jupiter is at 6 degrees Cancer. So kind of note those down and just kind of keep, you know, that, especially that 3-degree Venus is going to be in play here. Okay, so what did we have on the 14th? Well, the first thing I want to mention is that we had Jupiter square Saturn for the third and final time. But it was the first time that Jupiter was in Cancer and Saturn was in Aries. Always before it was Pisces and Gemini. So a little bit different flavor to it for sure. The Jupiter went into Cancer on the 9th. But this was a great example. Remember how I said Saturn's contraction, Jupiter's expansion. Saturn's the old, Jupiter's the new. And we saw this literally on split screen. Okay, the other thing I want to mention too, Cancer's ruled by the moon. And in mundane astrology, when we're talking about the whole society, the moon stands for the people. Okay. So anyway, we had this square. And there was such a great example. The march, the No King's March, was like just thousands of people here in my hometown, about 175,000. We literally had, I think, close to 10,000 people there. And as we marched, we went up 6 blocks and did a U-turn and came back 6 blocks. I could see, as I would look through the blocks, I could see the crowd coming around that corner, and then when I got around the corner I could see them still coming, so it was a lot. Okay, now the other biggie that we mentioned for June 14th was that Mars squared Uranus. Now Mars was still in Leo. Mars is going to go into Virgo here on June 17th. But Mars was in Leo, which can be a little bit of a drama queen, right? And Uranus, Taurus, are a little bit of outspoken. Then we had another horrible thing that happened, which I'm sure had something to do with this. We had an assassination in Minnesota. One of the State House congresswomen, she was murdered along with her husband. And I guess when they found her, she had thrown her body across her daughter so her daughter wouldn't be killed. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And then the same assassin went to another house. Well, he went to 2 other houses and there was nobody home, or one couple didn't come to the door. And then he went to the 4th place, and the husband and wife there are still in the hospital, and I don't know what their condition is, but horrible. And then of course, we had Israel started bombing Iran, and I'm not quite sure what the status is of that today. But it was interesting, the nuclear facility that they were bombing, they had a very mild 2.5 something earthquake right in that same vicinity. So I thought that was kind of interesting with our Uranus and Taurus. And of course, the Pope, Mr. Neptune here, he kind of got lost between those two big stories. So anyway, I'm going to publish this on Friday morning, and let me know if you like that or not. My thought is I just kind of want to get this video for you for the weekend. And now that I've been doing these current events for a while, I'm feeling a little bit more confident that I can get it up on Friday without any problem. Okay, so let's talk about this solstice that's going on tonight. Now, it's happening pretty out west anyway. It's happening pretty close to sunset. So do get out there and watch the sunrise, sunset, something. So you can really see how the sun is moving. It's at its furthest declination to the north. So I'm pointing, because the north is this way, the way I'm sitting facing due south. And then it'll rise 27.5 degrees north of due east, and it'll set 27.5 degrees north of due west. So see if you can kind of get a feel for that. And really go out. Oh, and I should say, for us in the northern hemisphere, this will be very enlightening in general. It's the longest day of the year. There should be a lot of illumination coming out for sure. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the shortest day of the year. So this is where you really want to go into interior to make your realizations. And really, use this time in the dark to be quiet and listen to the dark. Okay. Now, but for this solstice, get outside if you can, walk around barefoot, dig in the earth, plant a plant or something like that, and even do a little ritual. I like to use, for earth, you can just use a handful of earth or a rock, but most people use salt to represent earth. A candle you just light a candle for the fire. Water, that's pretty easy to come by to get the liquid. And then the air, you want to burn some incense or have some essential oils, or maybe even just do some breath work to get that air as part of your ritual. Okay, so now another powerful link between this solstice and the new moon, and I'm just going to remove these for right now, is that this sun is going to be squaring on June 22nd. Remember, we had Jupiter squaring this. Okay, that's what we were talking about, that expansion, contraction. Now we're having the sun follow up and do the exact same aspects. So the sun on June 22nd is going to square Saturn, and then about 14 hours later on the 23rd, it's going to square Neptune. And again, all this is on the world axis. So this could be kind of like a mini of that Jupiter. So expect some sort of illumination, and then maybe not so much, that kind of thing. And open, close, that kind of thing. Expect that to happen all through June 22nd and 23rd, and then it'll just kind of dissolve. That's what I'm hoping happens with this Israeli bombing thing, that it's like, Saturn and Aries, that's war like. But maybe with that Neptune right there, it can just sort of extinguish and become quiet. We'll see. The only thing, I forgot to mention this, with Jupiter squaring Neptune, our fearless leader, I think, got a little intimidated by the G7, and he left a day early. Boo-hoo, poor baby. Okay. All right. You guys know my political leaning, so it's for entertainment only. And if you don't like it, move on. There's plenty of other people on YouTube, that is for sure. Okay, so and this is also reality and a little delusion here too. So just be prepared that we could get balled up in some stuff here between June 22nd and June 23rd as this square plays itself out. or we just might get more information, like how many people were at the marches and that kind of thing. And just those assassinations. Maybe we'll find out why the guy did it and stuff like that. Okay. Also on June 22nd, Mars comes back into the picture, but now Mars is fully into Virgo. And remember, with that retrograde, it seemed like Mars was down here forever, but now it's moving along. And this is also a big build-up for the new moon here. But Mars is going to sextile Jupiter. So here, just as it gets into this Earth sign, it's going to sextile Jupiter right here at the very beginning of Cancer, the water sign. So there's that sextile. Now, this is Mars in Virgo is definitely not as loudmouth and crazy, sorry Leos, as Mars in Leo, or as dramatic, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that this shift in signs will kind of calm things down a little bit too. Then on June 23rd, Mars inconjuncts Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius. Now, the first thing you might say is, what in the heck is an inconjunct? I haven't really talked about them very much. Now, the aspects that I use in this for these videos, I'm primarily looking at the conjunctions, 0, oppositions, 180, squares, 90 degrees, okay? And then trines, these are our easier ones. The squares and oppositions can be more difficult, or challenging is the word people are using these days. Trines, so that we split this 360 degree circle up into threes, and we get 120. So we get those trine aspects. And then the sextiles are just splitting this trine in half. So here we go. See how we can see all the earth signs are highlighted here, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Then we can go to the air signs, Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. And then you can see I've got the sextiles marked here in the center. So those are the 60 degree aspects, which are also a very opportunistic type degree. So back to our question, what the heck is an inconjunct? Well, you may have heard it called a quincunx. Don't you love astrology? Let's make it even more confusing and do 2 names, right? Well, the glyph for an inconjunct kind of looks like a sextile, but without the top. And what it is, quintile might give you another clue here. 5. So 5 times 30, each one of these signs are 30, is 150. So an inconjunct or a quintile is considered a 150 degree aspect. So, and let's just test it out here. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, and 5 times 30 is 150. Okay, so, now an inconjunct, some people call it a minor aspect. I can't really put it, maybe it's a secondary aspect. I mean, these are our primary aspects for sure, obviously. And I'm trying to kind of streamline astrology. Maybe I should be calling this, instead of Magical Mystery School, astrology for the lazy or something like that. But I'm just focusing on these main aspects. But an inconjunct is really considered a challenging aspect. It's really not as bad as a square. It's more of just a, oh, you know what, guys? This one's going to be a really long one because it's on the hour. So I'm just going to pause you for a second. Okay, sorry about that. But it would have been bonging forever on that one. Anyway, so an inconjunct it's like internal conflict. Another way I kind of like to think about it, it's like a sore muscle. You might go all day and then suddenly you get home and you relax and you go, oh my gosh, my neck is so sore. And so it's kind of like a nagging ache, I would say an inconjunct is. Okay, so So Mars in conjunct Pluto on the 22nd, this can be a feeling of, I just don't have a time to do enough. I can't get everything done. I'm trying to do too much. And what's bad, or I find negative about an inconjunct, is you can blame yourself, especially Virgo, Mars and Virgo. You can feel very, very negative about what you're trying to do here. And it can kind of deplete your energy. So just remember, you know, whenever you've got any kind of inconjunct in your chart, that's where you're just going to feel an ache inside, basically. Just be sure to not blame yourself, okay? Okay, and then on June 24th, well, remember we've got, remember we already had this Mars sextile Jupiter, remember on June 22nd? And then on June 23rd, Mars did this inconjunct. And I tell you what, I'm just going to put this right here at the beginning of Aquarius and the beginning of Virgo, just to show that inconjunct right there. Then on June, so that's on June 23rd. On June 24th, Jupiter slides into an inconjunct with Pluto. Oh my goodness. That's kind of interesting. It makes this real pointy little triangle here, okay? And it's pointing. But let's just talk about the inconjunct of Pluto first. Now this is more like big societal changes. We've got Pluto, a generational planet in Aquarius, the sign of the higher mind. And with Jupiter down here inconjuncting it, we do know the difference between right and wrong, because Jupiter is our sign of the courts and laws and telling the truth and all that kind of stuff. So we do get a certain amount of wisdom from Jupiter too, but it can be kind of a little bit annoying that you really want to do it right? Do I have to do it over again to make it right? Really? Yes. Okay, that's what this inconjunct is going to tell us. But why am I telling you about these two inconjuncts right now? Because this is what these two inconjuncts on the same planet form what we call as a YOD, and that's this pointy triangle like this. So if you've got two planets sextiling in your chart, and then they both inconjunct the same planet, you have a YOD in your chart. And this is, you know, a YOD is just really considered, you know, one of those really special configurations up there in the sky. It's also called a finger of fate, a finger of God. And any of you who grew up in my generation and saw Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, I always think of the FICKLE Finger of Fate Award. You guys remember that? So so this is pretty intense going on here, because when we focus on this apex planet, and this is the planet that, you know, just in general, the apex planet is showing us our purpose in life. It's where we want to go. So right now, since this is transiting, it's not in somebody's chart, right now we need to focus on Pluto in Aquarius type energy and expanding that, uplifting that, and keep growing with that. Now, and the way you want to look at these two sextile planets down here, and sometimes they're called the base planets, is that these are the tools. These are the abilities that, if this is personal, you would have in fulfilling this sense of purpose in this fated, you know, future for you. And your helpmates, who's helping you with this karmic going forward, is Mars in Virgo and Jupiter in Cancer. So this sextile, whenever you want to focus on these energies to get you out of those uncomfortable energies, to access this Pluto type energy. So, and another thing I want to mention about just the YOD in general is that you really want to keep it at a 2-degree orb on either side. So that Venus in Cancer at 3 degrees in the U.S. chart is definitely in orb there. But that's important. And also think about this YOD as being a journey, you know, and especially if you've got something like this in your chart, this is going to be a lifetime journey for you, headed towards that, using these as your power base, as your tools, as your abilities that can get you to this Pluto or to this apex point. So really what we're looking at is we are really needing to balance this Mars in Virgo, Jupiter in Cancer, and Pluto in Aquarius. So just really keep this, you know, this is, Virgo can be all about health and taking care of yourself and that kind of thing. Here we've got the family and wanting to take care of that family. And this can be family of choice too. It doesn't have to be biological family. And then we've got the higher mind, the higher community, the greater good, that kind of thing that we're all trying to balance here. Okay, so the YOD is considered to have kind of like a struggle with some of that, trying to get to that purpose in life and that sort of thing. Okay, so right now with Mars and Virgo, maybe, you know, really focusing on nature, getting out there. You know, we kind of said that with the solstice too. And again, Cancer, Jupiter in Cancer, you know, we really want to kind of think about that family and the greater good here. And also be patient with this YOD too, because it can really take some time and some energy to get this working right for you. And I ran it when I was thinking about this. I looked up some stuff, and just out of curiosity, people with YODs in their chart: Albert Einstein, Oprah Winfrey, and Leonardo da Vinci. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, okay. So also on June 24th, the sun is going to start coming into action here. So the sun, you know, does conjunct Jupiter on the 24th. So right before that, it's going to hook into this YOD. So talk about giving a little bit of super oomph to this YOD. Here we've got the sun and Jupiter conjunct basically on it. So really, you know, intense energy for sure. And then with the new moon, and we all know what the new moon is, right? It's a conjunction of the sun and the moon. So literally starting just a few hours before the new moon is perfects, the moon is going to be coming in, and it's going to just do a whole repeat of everything. So remember, the new moon is like 3:30 in the morning. So starting about midnight, maybe even 11 the night before, it's going to come in, and it's going to square Saturn, square Neptune. It's going to hook into this. It's going to inconjunct Pluto. It's going to conjunct Jupiter. And then it's going to conjunct the sun. And that'll be the new moon at 3:30 in the morning. And then soon after that, the moon will hook into this sextile to Mars. So you can see there's a lot of action going on here around this YOD, that's for sure. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and after this new moon then, we're going to have, oh, and just to reiterate too, we are having the sun and moon activating this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and on the world axis and all that stuff. Okay. Then on June 26th, after the new moon, we literally have Mercury, you know, who's on a tear here in Capricorn, right at that like 29th degree. It is going to sextile Uranus. Okay. So, so that's going to be kind of fun and exciting. Talk about free speech. And then right after that, that's when Mercury goes into Leo. So on the 26th. So just be prepared that the language could get more dramatic out there and more entertaining too, and that kind of thing with Leo. And then one other thing I wanted to mention on that 26th, so the 26th is a big day too, the sun will actually do its sextile to Mars. So we are going to have that repetition of that sextile energy on top of the Jupiter. So, you know, that's what's so weird about all these aspects. They're so intense, but they're also really good. I mean, for example, whenever we talk about Pluto, I should have mentioned this, Saturn and Neptune are sextiling Pluto. So not only for this YOD do we have this support, we've got this support too. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that as a reminder. And and with Mercury, I also wanted to remind you, remember it goes retrograde July 18th. So the shadows start like the beginning of July. Excuse me. So next time we'll talk about Venus going into Taurus. Neptune goes retrograde on July 4th. But no matter what, have a great solstice, have a great new moon, and I hope I see you next week. Bye-bye.